Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Check the Score podcast. Today, we have a State of Origin preview. Today, I'm joined by Oscar, my good friend, fellow New South Wales supporter, Canterbury Bulldogs supporter. You've actually been on the podcast before, but unfortunately, we've had Harry on, which you obviously featured on that episode with the whole footage corrupted. I remember telling you boys we did
got a few scenes from it, and that was about it.
it was pretty tragic to say the least.
Yeah.
But we're here today doing State of Origin. Obviously, kind of the whole competition kind of stops for this competition for obviously representative football when it goes on. And to be honest, I think a lot of people they don't forget about club football, but they kind of just
Priorities get set.
it's second fiddle type thing.
100%.
All eyes on State of Origin.
And with such star-studded players out of the ordinary comp, it's kind of a little bit hard. Not hard to follow, but it's just like the interest drags over to the Origin.
Yeah. I think one good thing that comes out of Origin with club football is you see a lot of young players get given a crack. Because obviously you see look at teams like Penrith who get absolutely stripped to bits for representative players. You get obviously a lot of players coming from Cup and Flag and they're coming up to the first grade. But we'll go through kind of where it all started with obviously the lineups. A lot was to be expected with both teams. A few surprise additions. Most notably, I think, between both sides, I think the most notable pick that no one really saw coming was Robert Toyer for the Maroons, which is kind of insane. He's either equal or he's the second least experienced Queensland Maroons player ever.
Yeah. I think the other surprising one that everyone's probably thinking is Max King, which I think personally isn't too crazy, but as a Doggies fan, I'd be picking Teraway as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. I think having a guy like Terrell May, a guy who can realistically play 40 to 60 minutes of football in the forward pack
100%.
Is so valuable. And even if you don't want to use him for that long, imagine if you only used him for half an hour when he can really play 60
Great
minutes.
utility player, inject him in 50 minutes in and...
So good. I personally, if I had it my way, I would have gone Mitch Barnett off the bench and then I would have started Terrell May with Haas. That's probably how I would have had it. But Max King, I think that's a cool one. Look, he's been, like a lot of people and have been saying in the rugby league community, I think the Dogs forward pack, obviously they're first on the ladder. They're doing really well this season. They didn't really have a formidable pack going into the year.
No,
that was
all.
Probably their one weak point. And I think you can now kind of come out and say that if you had to pick the leading front rower in that forward pack, it's Max King. He's the first name on the team sheet when it comes to the forwards every single week. You see a lot of rotation with their edge, back rowers, their lock. But he's the mainstay. He's always on that team sheet.
There. Always turns up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember Phil Gould saying something along the lines of that he had a sternum injury through the back end of, was it last season or the season before, and he just played on.
I think it was the end of last season. But it was pretty wild. Him and Critter as well. Critter's been playing with a minor hamstring injury just as of late, which really I guess goes to show the dedication in the Bulldog side.
Well, speaking of Bulldogs players, to be honest, until kind of all the talk around Tom Dearden getting selected at 14 came in, I thought Reid Marnie would pick up that jersey.
I thought I was genuinely so scared going into club footy this week. We've already got 10 very large names out.
10?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We got 10 out at the moment. I mean, we've got Curran back at the moment. He's back this week, and so is... We got one other name back, but still we're 50% of B-side at the moment.
Yeah.
But I was really worried that Reid Marnie was going to get selected.
Yeah.
And that just would have sent me overboard.
Yeah, well, I think he's good because he kind of... The thing that I think the Blues don't have is your Harry Grants, even guys like Damien Cook, they scoot from dummy half really well and they really play off the ruck.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy like Reid Marnie, he really does that. He offers you obviously the 40-20 threat from 9 as well. Just gives you so many more options. But obviously I think Billy's playing a bit of a loyalty card here with Tom Dearden. Obviously, he kind of really hasn't set a foot wrong in Origin yet because he obviously covered last year. Cam Munster didn't play the whole series. But yeah, I think it's imminent in the future that Reid Marnie will play for the Maroons.
100%. I think another really good option. I mean, I don't know his eligibility like that well actually, so maybe you can tell me. But Blake Brayley, does he qualify for either of them?
Yeah, so he qualifies for the Blues.
He does.
Yes.
See, that's a big option I'd be considering because the form Blake Brayley's been playing this season is like something I haven't seen before. Like he's so aggressive with his like scoots out of dummy half, finding holes, shit like that, and it's really impressive. Like I'd definitely be considering him.
Yeah, well, I've been saying for at least on my Instagram, at least as a lot of people know, I'm a Cronulla fan, so obviously I watch him very closely. But a lot of people won't know is that he has been the Cronulla Player of the Year for the last 2 years running.
Yeah, right.
He also, I think a few years back, he made the most tackles in the comp for a single season. Like he's just an absolute workhorse, and he'll live and die by the jersey he wears. And I think also his performance against Melbourne on the weekend, I think he was the best on the park. And yeah, I don't know, like Reece Robson, look, he didn't do anything wrong to lose an Origin jersey, but I also feel like there were people playing better footy than 100%. Him. So even guys like Appy, I think he's had a better year so far. I think
he's having a fucking blinder.
Look, Tigers got wiped on the weekend by South, but he scored 2 tries. Like
he's the only reason they got points.
Exactly.
Only reason.
Yeah, and I just think he's too good of an option to not even consider. Like Connor Watson at the 14 makes sense to me. He covers a lot of positions. He can play in the halves. He can play at lock. He can play at 9. He's played in the centers before. So I think he covers a lot of bases. And look, in a Roosters side that's been underwhelming, he's been pretty good. Can't really say he's been that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there any other selection choices where you scratch your head or you think are interesting or?
Actually, yes. I was about to bring up. I'm trying to figure out where I would fit him into the current Game 1 team, but I'm baffled at Tommy Turbo not getting selected. Which, I mean, you look at their current side and it is like star-studded lineup. Like they've got some of the best in there. And I've been trying to figure out who I'd take out to put Turbo in, because I wouldn't take out Trell, I wouldn't take out Crichton to put him in centre. Yeah, obviously I wouldn't really select him as a winger. He could play wing, but does he beat Lomax and fucking Toto? I don't think so.
I mean, when he cracked the Origin squad when he first came into the Blues side, he was a winger. So he played on the wing.
Yeah.
So I did view that as an option that the Blues might have gone down if Lomax wasn't fit.
Yeah.
But also I think his fitness concerns are like the biggest issue.
Injuries.
He just looks a bit like a shadow of himself.
Yeah.
In
100%.
Recent weeks.
Yeah.
Look, in my preview squad, I put a post out on my Instagram and I tried to predict the Maroons and the Blues squad like a fair few weeks out. Like there's guys in there that weren't even fit to play. Like I had Ben Hunt at the 14 for the Maroons, for instance.
Yeah.
But I had Turbo at fullback. Over Edwards. But Manly got a good win over the Cowboys on the weekend, and Turbo looked like he was playing on one leg.
100%.
And look, a Turbo on one leg is still a good player.
Yeah.
But is he an Origin player? Probably not.
Yeah.
So that's just the way I saw it, and I think it's justifiable.
Yeah.
The one person I would have had on the Maroons side, which I'm surprised didn't get included, which I'm surprised you didn't mention, you probably wouldn't want to face him, is he did get included, but he's not in the starting 17. Kurt Mann.
Yeah. Well, I was honestly going just along Blues. I thought we were going to move to Maroons in a bit, but yeah, look, I'm honestly scared to see him if he comes in off the bench or
he's 18th.
Yeah, he's 18th man. So if touch wood they don't get any injuries, but if I see him coming onto the field running at the Blues,
yikes,
not going to be happy.
Yeah, no,
that's for sure.
He's someone that you don't really want to come up against. He's got a lot of, he'll put his body on the line to say the least.
Oh yeah,
He's a look,
he is genuinely having a blinder of a season.
and the thing that's been like the thing he's been known for having a blinder for is his utility, like how good he is at coming off the bench and being that impact player and being able to cover so many bases. Like Kurt Mann's played fullback.
Yeah.
Kurt Mann's played fullback. He's played in the halves. He's played at 9. He's played at lock. Like he's played everywhere. Like I feel like he's like the perfect player for Origin type thing.
100%.
Much like as I said with Connor Watson, that 14 jersey just suits him.
Yeah.
You wouldn't play him at 9 in a Blues jersey, but you play him in a 14.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm surprised that Billy didn't put him in. There are a few debutantes. We talked about Robert Toya briefly, but like I think between both sides, the debutantes are so we've got Toya, Beau Fermor, Trent Liero, Max King, and I think that's it. That's it. Yeah, the only debutant for the Blues is Max King.
Yeah.
The other players have been in and around the squads. Mitch Barnett's played a few games.
Yeah.
So has Hudson Young, Spencer Leniu. Yeah, that's about it really.
Yeah.
What I want to know is what are the key points and what like game breakers do you think? Like, what do you think certain players are going to have to do in order to? Because I think look, on paper the Blues are better. Let's be real. Like they are just a better team. But Maroons on paper for a lot of years have never been the better team.
I was about to say that's how it's always been. Like Blues, you look on paper, everyone will make more notable names, more like recognition to the players in our side. But that's literally never stopped Queensland from dominating in the past like they have and being able to just play the game how they do.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest factor for coming into game 1 is going to be seeing how Mitch Moses and Cleary work together.
I totally agree.
I think if Mitch Moses can put his ego aside for the better of the team, then and realize that he has to play the 6, not the 7, and kind of let Cleary take driver position, then I think we've got a very, very good chance of, doing his in first game. But I can also definitely see Mitch Moses trying to fill his ego too much, trying to take over too much, and I can see it all go into shambles too.
Well, look, as a Blues fan, exactly what you said is what I'd be concerned about. And as a Maroons fan, I'm preying on the fact that Moses and Cleary are both going to want a lot of ball.
Yeah.
And the issue when two halves want a lot of ball and one's not willing to take the back seat is that you have it tends to get a bit cagey.
100%.
You tend to be shifting the ball side to side a lot. You tend to be taking irrational kicks because when you get the ball, you feel like you have to do something with it.
Trying to outperform the other.
Exactly, totally right.
100%.
But I think if they get it right, I think it's going to be very tough for the Maroons. Like very, 100%. Very, very tough. Because I think Mitchell Moses is got the best long kicking game in the comp. And then Cleary, I think, he has the best elements of someone like Cherry Evans and Moses in one, where when you're close to the line and you need a repeat set or you need to put a kick in to force an error, Cleary is your guy. But he also has that long kicking game where he can shoot a 40-20 just out of nowhere and just make a magical,
hit a 40 field goal.
Make a pretty mediocre set into one that's like, you know what, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to move into their territory, that sort of thing.
And Cleary is the guy for that.
Oh, absolutely. And look, I think the only thing that I think the Maroons have on their side, obviously Blues do too, but I think we have enough X factor players to
100%.
Like I think you got guys like Kalen Ponga. When Kalen Ponga's hot,
he knows how to play Origin.
It's tough. It's tough. Like I think last year when Billy was trying to bring him off the bench and get him in around the middle, around the ruck, he's just not that guy. He needs to warm into a game sort of thing and get his rhythm. And undoubtedly, I think he's the best fullback in the game. That's me. I don't know about you, but a lot of people will dispute it, but I think he's the best fullback in the game.
Yeah. I think he's up there. He's an exceptionally good fullback. But the other thing I think Queensland have an advantage for at the moment is they're going into this with a side that's I mean, they've got a few debutants, but like other than that, they're going in with a side that they've kind of all worked together on Origin before, like last season. Whereas this Blues side, it's a little bit, I guess, experimental.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like how our players kind of connect and the chemistry like works, whereas we know that it works already for Queensland. But that's, I mean, I guess good that it's game one so that we can kind of test the waters. Because, I mean, if it does go like how I said before and Mitch Moses' ego is like too big, then we can always just swap him out for like Luai for game 2 or something.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, I think you're on the money there. But when it comes to guys like when it comes to the Maroons, sorry, they've got a lot of returning players, and I think that's going to be a big change when you got guys like Tino didn't play any game
last year.
He didn't play any of the 3 games. Neither did Munster.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Billy and you're picking a team, those are 2 of the first 5 names on your team sheet.
Easily.
So
Easily.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think those 2 guys are going to have a lot bigger of a difference than people think.
Yeah.
But my question is, do you think Billy bounces back, or do you think Laurie Daly undoes some past woes? Because look, let's be real. When he was the Blues coach, it wasn't all sunshine. Like, look, he broke the 8-year drought when he was coach, but his Origin record isn't
not the best.
Isn't fantastic. Yeah. And when they went back for him, I'm like, it's a bit of a gamble. Like, a guy like Madge obviously kind of moved on for what he thought was brighter pastures. There's a lot of coaches that would have put their hand up for that job, and
100%.
They've picked Laurie Daly. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still questionable on the coaching choice. But what do you think he has to do, and what do you think he has to do different this time?
I think he's really got to like set in the players' minds their roles. Like I think, like I was saying before, I think our key is how our halves play. I think if he allows both Cleary and Moses to have kind of too much control in their training and in camp, we're going to see it all go to shambles. I think he's really got to knuckle down on like our attack. I feel like defense, he probably doesn't have to worry as much. We've got the likes of like Critter and Lomax who are all really good, really, really sound defensively. Latrell, but I think our determining point will be 100% in our attack.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the difference between a guy like Laurie Daly and a guy like Michael Maguire is I think Laurie Daly, his forward rotation last year was very different. Like I remember Jake Travojevic, he'd start in the front row, and within 20 minutes he's off the field, and they've got a fresh forward on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what laid the platform for a guy like Moses. Like, look, in game 1, if I'm not mistaken, were the game 1 halves Luai and Nico? Was it Hines and Luai for the game 1?
Moses was in game 1, wasn't he? Oh, no, he was game 2.
No, he didn't play game 1. I'm almost certain he didn't play game 1. I might be wrong, but I'm almost certain he didn't, because I remember he played game 2 because he came down because it was in Melbourne, because I went to the game 2 in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And we got absolutely wiped. Like we got absolutely just landslided, and it was a Moses masterclass, what everyone was calling it.
Well, because Moses only had the one game last year. So game one was definitely Hines.
Yep.
Who was in the 6? I think you might be right.
I think it was Luai and Hines. I get a feeling that's what it was. But regardless, look, I think 2 dominant halves. That's going to be the big talking point, especially if the Blues lose. Because if they lose, there's a few bold shouts in this team, and that need probably undoing. If you're Laurie Daly and you lose this game, what changes would you make to the Blues side?
I'd definitely be considering swapping out Moses if he doesn't kind of take back seat. I think another option for us would be, I don't know, the rest of the team I'm pretty happy with. Hold up, let me pull it up again real quick. I think Spencer Leniu is great off the bench. Hudson Young, King, Do we bring Jake Turbo in? He's
Yeah.
got like I think by any means he's not the best player at all. There's a lot better options, but you can't ignore the fact that he brings up blue morale.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think he bleeds blue.
He does.
And look, the question mark is obviously Laurie Daly's not going to show his cards. He's going to hold his cards close to his chest. And the reason that Jake Trbojevic isn't in this squad, he'll say, is because he got a concussion. He has an 11-day stand down and he can't play.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the reason he'll say that he didn't get picked.
Yeah.
But
there's more to it.
I feel like there's more to it. I feel like he wouldn't have got picked anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
But if obviously the narrative goes that one of your forwards has a shocker,
Yeah.
he's probably coming into camp, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know like the extended squad, it had Stefanu, it had Ola Kawatu. Actually, speaking of which, what do you think of the 4 boys that got pulled in this week?
I was about to bring that. I was about to say before we move over to Maroon's side, what do you think about who's just been called? I think bringing Jake Preston into camp,
I think it's a
great idea. Adam Dewey.
Yeah.
I don't really see what Laurie Daly's
Please.
intentions are there.
Laurie, mate, I beg, please.
That's just like, I don't know, man. Adam Dewey's not a bad player, but like, this is State of Origin. Like,
look,
you need the best of the best.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I was talking to my mum about this, and I said, look, Adam Dewey, right? He covers you in the centers and in the halves, right?
Yeah.
Who's another Blues eligible player who covers you in the centers and covers you in the halves? Doggy's own mate,
Yeah.
Matty Burton, mate. And
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like, I'm genuinely surprised that Birdo didn't get selected, but I mean, like you were saying, Laurie Daly's got his own intentions, I guess, and we'll let the men see what he's cooking up.
yeah, well, he's got a lot of people in his ear. I'm not sure how much in his ear this bloke is, but I know on come Wednesday next week at Suncorp, what do you call it? Craig Bellamy is going to be in the Blues coaches box.
Yeah.
He's obviously, I don't know exactly what his role is, but I know he's in Laurie's ear, probably in camp to some extent.
Yeah.
I think Melbourne have 2 buys throughout the Origin period, so it probably helps Craig in being able to help out a bit more. But yeah, like I think there's another few players that will be in and around that mix. I think Keon is another great shout. His stats in that Tigers game on the weekend were absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
I think he ran for like 320 meters.
Yeah.
The second most by a front rower in the history of NRL.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But yeah, I think it's a kind of a we'll wait to see. Also, I saw that 2 more players got pulled into camp. So Jacob Preston got pulled in.
Yep.
Adam Dewey got pulled in. Then Cody Ramsey from the Dragons, who's been playing New South Wales Cup all year.
He got called in.
Yeah.
As of when?
As of yesterday. If you go on Mix, you know the Mix RL page?
Yeah.
There was a photo of Preston, Dewey, Cody Ramsey, and Hamish Stewart. Hamish Stewart, he's I think he's an Illawarra Steelers junior, but he plays for the Dragons.
Yeah, right.
And I think, oh my God, I got something in my eye. And he's suspended at the moment, I think, or injured or something along those lines. But yeah, he's been in and around the Dragons squad. But yeah, he's been called into camp too. I don't know why. Maybe it's I don't know, blooding some young kids that they may see for the future.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not entirely sure. I know a lot of they do this a lot just for extras, especially guys that aren't playing. Like I think Preston's a good call because look, he's a guy that realistically one day he probably will wear a Blues jersey, right? 100%. But he's also suspended, so he can't play. He
literally can't.
He can't play.
Yeah.
So calling him into camp's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other guys, not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Are we done with the Blues? Go to the Maroons.
Yeah.
Okay, the Maroons. Look, I think there's a few things I would have changed. One of them being, look, Robert Toya, 20 years old, right? 10 games of first grade, and look, I think he's a talented kid. Look, I just don't think he has the skin in the game to be thrown into Origin like this. Obviously, it's probably induced by a few injuries. Selwyn Cobbo went down with a fractured wrist.
Yeah.
Murray Tulangi, I think, a calf injury.
Yeah.
So he's been thrown into the deep end here. Do I think he'll do a job? Probably. I think he'll do okay if he can defend and wrap up Latrell well. Whereas then you got guys like Kurt Catewell. For the last 2 weeks, he's been playing centre for the Warriors.
Yeah.
I don't know. Origin veteran. He's been a great Queenslander throughout his career. Doesn't get a sniff.
Yeah.
Not even in the extended squad.
Yeah. Yeah. You think he should have been selected over Toya?
I don't know if he should have, but I would have given it more thought. I would have. There wasn't a single report this week that I read where Kurt Catewell was an option, right?
Yeah.
And especially when two of your guys who you were going to pick fall out, he must be way off the pecking order.
Yeah.
He must be way off it. You know what I mean?
There's got to be reason behind it, because like you look at your other available options, there's plenty there with like state of origin experience. So he must have something like in the works or something.
Yeah. Or it's funny. I was watching a Michael Chammas video, something he was talking about Robert Toya, and after Magic Round, which we went to, obviously, when the Roosters played the Dolphins, apparently there was a Michael Chammas spotted Billy Slater talking to Nick Politis, the CEO of the Roosters. And then apparently after the game was spotted talking to Trent Robinson.
Yeah, right.
So maybe it is something that he's been thinking about.
Yeah.
Maybe he was always going to pick him.
Yeah.
Who knows? For all we know, Holmes could have fallen out of the team and he was going to pick Tuilagi and Toya.
Yeah.
Who knows? Billy, when he first became the Queensland coach, he made a lot of bold calls in his first year. Mm-hmm. One of them was kicking out Ponga and bringing in Walsh. Mm-hmm. And look how that turned out, right? Yeah. That first year in Origin, he was almost unplayable.
Yeah.
He didn't know what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And I think, especially in young Queenslanders, especially outside backs, I think Billy can sometimes see a lot of himself in them. Mm-hmm. So I don't doubt it. I just think it's a risk and one that could also really backfire.
I do like that both sides are trying to switch it up a bit, like change from like the status quo, and like we're really going to see how it all plays out, like obviously in game one, and they'll kind of go from there. But I think it'll be interesting to see whether they, after the results of the first round on either side, if they continue this like difference and like add in more unexpected players, or if they revert and go back to filling in the gaps with past people.
Yeah, totally agree. No, I totally agree. I think there definitely is that kind of, they definitely have people in mind who are like, if we need to go for a more reserved approach, we can bring these guys in.
Yeah, 100%.
And like Kurt Catewell is someone who I would consider for that sort of thing. But
definitely.
Yeah.
If it goes south for Queensland, what are like some changes you think you'd make?
Well, I think Kurt Catewell comes in. I think whether you want to start him or off the bench, I think it gives you good versatility. We've seen in Origins in the past where outside backs go down.
Yeah.
And you need people to fill holes. I think Kurt Catewell's your guy. He can play back row. He can play in the centres. Mm-hmm. Very versatile, good player.
Yeah.
I think, look, he's a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
No matter what game you put him in, if you get him on a good day, I think a guy like David Fifita is a wrecking ball, even though he's been dropped by the Titans to reserve grade. Like, I know that gives pretty much every reason not to pick him. Mm-hmm. But it's David Fifita. You put him onto a rampaging run against, I don't even know, like, I'm sorry, I don't think there's many plays in the comp that stop a full speed David Fifita running at them.
Oh no.
Like even a guy like Stephen Crichton, like I think man, one-on-one, I think David Fifita beats you.
Yeah.
Latrell, probably a bit of a different story. But he's a monster. Front rowers are pretty lackluster because we've got a lot of injuries at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe you move Pat Carrigan to front row, bring Kurt Mann in at lock. That could work. Who else? Who was in the extended squad? Kurt Mann was at 18th man. Who were 19 and 20?
You got Jesse Arthurs and mind the pronunciation.
Finawaki or No, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse Arthurs, by the way, What an absolutely absurd pick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't believe when
I was a bit baffled when
there was
I
a
saw his
report
name.
that he was going to start. They
Yeah.
were going to play Holmes at center and they were going to play Arthurs on the wing. Look,
silly.
He's good attacking wise when you're inside the 20 and you need a guy to just crash over the line.
Yeah.
But man, all I'm saying is, if Moses is putting a kick to Lomax on that wing, and he's going up for a high ball, there is no chance in hell that Arthurs is getting close to him.
No way. Especially when you got their two current wingers, Coates and Holmes. Like, how are you really going to take one of them out to put him in? Like,
Exactly. But yeah, that was the report that was going around on Sunday when the lineups are obviously getting selected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm done talking about the lineups. I think we do let's do a score prediction, man of the match.
Yeah.
And we'll do who do you think is going to win the Wally Lewis medalist for the year? So like player of the series.
Yep. All right. All right. My predictions for game 1, I reckon it's going to be closer than we think. I reckon I'm predicting a 20-18 scoreline, something along the lines of that.
Yeah. Obviously to the Blues.
I think in favor of the Blues, but I genuinely won't be surprised if Maroons like put the first game away.
Yeah. They need to as well, especially the first game being at Suncorp.
Yeah, 100%. They need it with game 3 decider in Sydney.
Yep. And man of the match?
Man of the match this game, I think it's gonna. I think it's going to be either Cleary or the likes of someone could just step up for yous and just carry. Maybe the likes of Hammer, Ponga. I could see either of those two just really, really solidifying a win for you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that could earn either of them 2 man of the match too.
Yeah. No, totally. And your player of the series, obviously, you're probably going to assume the Blues win it. So, who's your New South Wales player of the series?
New South Wales player of the series. This is probably going to be a bit biased, Doggies fan, but I'm thinking Critter.
Yeah.
I think defensively he is one of, if not the best in the comp. I think he's going to really, and he knows how to turn on for Origin too.
Yeah.
Like some of his performances in the past in Origin have just been outstanding.
Yeah.
And his recent form this year, he's having an absolute blinder. I think he could really, really do it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like you, my game 1 predictions, I'm going to go, I think 18-12 to the Maroons.
Yeah.
So obviously inside 6 points. It could even be closer than that.
Yeah.
My man of the match. My first thought was Munster, but I'm gonna go. Munster. It's got to be Munster. If we're going to win this game, he's going to have to break the game open.
100%.
So yeah, I'll go Munster. And my player of the series, running on the theme of players that are returning from not playing last year, I'm going to go Tino.
Yeah.
I think
He could definitely.
I think he's a wrecking ball, and I think he in a Titans side that's been pretty inconsistent all year. I think he's been the absolute shining light.
100%. He's their only consistent factor this year.
Been so good,
given them any glimmer of hope.
He's so good.
Yeah.
But look, like if I was looking at through blue lenses, my man of the match probably maybe not Latrell, because Latrell would be a man of the match in my opinion if it's a blowout. If it's a blowout, it'll be Latrell.
Yeah.
But if it's a close game, it's going to be someone like it'll be like an Edwards, or it'll be a Angus Crichton, someone who's going to play 80 minutes and put in the hard yards.
Yeah.
And if I'm picking a Blues player of the series, I'm going to go as AEO. I think.
Azeo.
Yeah, I'm going to go as AEO. If you're going to Blues player of the series, at least.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're predicting before game 1, you've got to think about players who are probably going to get picked for all 3 games, regardless of the results.
Yeah.
And you've also got to think about players who are in key positions that are actually going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
So I think with those 2 things in mind, especially with Isaiah Yeo being named captain, I think he will be your man for
Yeah.
player of the series.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Too easy. Is there anything else you wanted to add before wrapping it up?
No, I'm pretty happy with that.
Absolutely.
Origin.
Too
Yeah.
easy. And if you want to see a game 1 review or a game 2 preview, let me know in the comments. Thank you, Oscar, for coming on.
No worries, mate.
And we'll see you next time.